May 14th, 1610. A king sits alone in his chamber, staring at words he wrote 3 days earlier, words that name this very date as the day of his death. Outside, Paris awakens. Merchants open their shops. Crowds fill the streets. Somewhere in that crowd, a man with a knife is waiting. The king knows this. He has seen it, not as a possibility, as a certainty. His name is Henry IV, and in 6 hours, he will be dead. Henry IV did not believe in prophecy. He had clawed his way to power through blood and cunning. He had survived 6 assassination attempts. He knew better than most that death was always close, always patient. But this was different. It began in April. Dreams that felt more like memories. Visions so vivid he could smell the blood, feel the blade. Night after night, the same images. His body lying cold in a cathedral, a knife, a narrow street, a face in the crowd. He tried to ignore them. Kings do not admit to fear, but the dreams grew stronger. He began speaking of his death to those closest to him, not as a fear, as a fact. His wife, Marie de Medici, was to be crowned queen. Henry insisted it happen immediately. He told his ministers he would not live to see June. They assumed he was ill, exhausted, breaking under the weight of the crown. They were wrong. By May, Henry had stopped sleeping. He wandered the palace at night, pale and hollow-eyed. Servants whispered that he looked like a ghost. His advisors noticed he had begun writing letters, final letters, to people he had not spoken to in years. On May 13th, the day of Marie's coronation, Henry stood in the Saint-Denis Basilica and stared at the tomb where French kings were buried. Witnesses said his hands were shaking. He kept touching his chest, as if feeling for a wound that wasn't there yet. That night, he told a close friend, "Tomorrow, I will die in the street." The friend tried to reason with him. Paris was safe. The guards were vigilant. There was no credible threat. Henry smiled. It was not a reassuring smile. "It doesn't matter," he said. "It's already happened." The next morning, against every warning, Henry ordered his carriage prepared. He was going to visit the Duke of Sully. His guards begged him to reconsider. The route was dangerous, the streets narrow and crowded. Henry looked at them with something like pity. "I have to go," he said. "I've seen it." 4 o'clock, Rue de la Ferronnerie. The royal carriage slows, traffic, a wagon blocking the road. The kind of mundane delay that happens 1,000 times a day in a city like Paris. But Henry knows this street. He has dreamed this street. In the crowd, a man named Francois Ravaillac feels a sudden, overwhelming clarity. He has been following the king for weeks, praying for a sign. And now, with the carriage trapped and vulnerable, he believes God has answered. He steps forward. Henry sees him. For one brief moment, their eyes meet. And in that moment, some witnesses later swore. The king nodded, as if in recognition, as if he had been waiting. Ravaillac climbs onto the carriage wheel. He reaches through the window. 3 quick stabs to the chest. Henry gasps. Blood spreads across his royal robes. He tries to speak but cannot. His eyes remain open, staring at nothing. He dies in minutes. Ravaillac stands motionless, knife still in hand. He does not run. He does not resist when the guard sees him. Later, when questioned, he will say he had not planned to kill the king that day. The decision came to him in an instant, like a voice in his head. The same instant Henry had been expecting for weeks. Here is what we know. Henry predicted not just his death, but the date, the method, the location. He told multiple people in multiple conversations with absolute certainty, and he was correct in every detail. Skeptics argue it was anxiety, a self-fulfilling prophecy that Henry was a man with enemies and his paranoia created the conditions for his own murder. But this explanation falters under scrutiny. Ravaillac was not part of any conspiracy. He was a lone fanatic who acted on impulse. He had no contact with the palace, no insider knowledge. The idea to strike on May 14th came to him spontaneously when he saw the carriage trapped in traffic. So how did Henry know the exact day? Some historians suggest he had received intelligence, whispers of a plot, a credible threat, but no evidence of such a warning has ever been found. Others propose something darker, that Henry didn't predict his death. He remembered it, that somehow, through dreams or visions or some rupture in the fabric of time, he experienced his own murder before it happened. that he lived those final moments again and again, unable to change them, only to wait for them to arrive. When Henry died, France collapsed inward. His 9-year-old son became king. The fragile peace Henry had built shattered. The country descended into chaos, just as he had feared. Ravaillac was tortured for weeks. They wanted names, conspirators, a plot. He gave them nothing, because there was nothing to give. In the end, they tied his limbs to 4 horses and tore him apart in front of a screaming crowd. But the question remained, whispered in taverns, debated in universities. How did he know? Philosophers proposed theories. Theologians spoke of divine warnings. Scientists dismissed it as coincidence wrapped in myth. But the people who had been there, the friends who heard his predictions, the guards who saw his face in the carriage, they knew what they had witnessed. A man who had looked into the void and seen his own end staring back. And the most terrifying part was not that he saw it, it was that he accepted it. Henry IV did not try to escape his fate. He walked toward it with open eyes. So ask yourself this: if you knew the exact moment of your death, not as a guess, but as an absolute certainty, would you try to change it? Or would you realize, as Henry did, that some things are already written? Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more incredible historical stories.